Welcome to Patty's Aquatics, and welcome to my fish room. So let me pose a question for you. What exactly is an aquarium to you? Well, to me, it's an empty canvas. It's an empty canvas to really show every individual hobbyist what their passions and interests are. You show it to anybody looking at that tank, whether it's dirted tanks, any type of planted tank, no matter the substrate, breeding tanks, bare bottom, whatever it is. It really shows what your passions, what you're interested in, really what you love about this hobby. So that's what I want to do today. I want to give you guys a full fish room tour of my fish room, really, and show you what my passions and interests are in this hobby. Now, if you haven't seen last week's video or you're not familiar with my channel, I used to have an entire fish room full of dirty tanks. Now, I tore a lot of them down. In that video, I explained why I did what I did, but today I want to show you every individual tank. I want to show you what I did, what my plans are for them. Most importantly, I want to show you what my passions and interests are. So let's start over my puffer tank and we'll go from there. Well, this is my puffer tank. I will give you a little look at what it'll look like before. And this is what it looks like now. As you can see, I did add filtration. I got those Aquarium Co-op sponge filters. I put two big ones in the corners to give a little bit more extra water flow within this aquarium, which I think was important. And the water is crystal clear for the first time in I don't know how long. And quite honestly, I battled with cyanobacteria and real hair algae terribly in this tank when it was a dirty tank, which is the main reason why I changed it over. And I do see a little bit of cyano popping up now, unfortunately, but I think that's because I used the same sand when I redid this tank and some of the same plants, so they carried over. But I'm not too worried about it. I will get it under control. The plants are doing great. The crypts are actually starting to grow. I can see little shoots coming up. This pond lily has really taken in. I can see little ones starting off over here, which is really cool, branching off that main one. So I'm really excited to see what happens with this plant as this tank goes on. And this guy's got more swimming room. And like I said, I'm actually absolutely loving this tank. I can't wait for this really to fill in and these plants to really take off and get thick in the middle, because my idea was to have an island with the dwarf sage and val in the back, and then all the crypts and Amazon swords and stuff like that up front. I did put some pebbles in here because my butthead here likes to blow in the sand looking for snails, and he was unburying all the roots of the plants trying to find snails. So I put some rocks and then pea gravel in there, and that's been doing pretty good now from him to prevent him from doing that. So this is the puffer tank. Like I said, very happy with the way it looks and how clear the water is, and that was kind of the trigger for me to start changing a lot of these other tanks over, because I was just getting bored with them and I wanted to be able to be refreshed, and seeing this crystal clear water really intrigued me. So this is one of the tanks I've been most excited about with this whole changeover in my fish room. This is my rainbow shiner tank, and one of the reasons why I really got rid of those dirted tanks too was for something like this. This isn't something I could accomplish with a dirted tank. This is my version of a river tank. I really wanted to be able to make like a downwards like drop off almost, and be able to really show that with a log up there. And this is pretty much exactly what I envisioned when I was thinking about what I wanted to do. And it gives these guys a lot more swimming room. It gives them current. I've got a couple wave makers and a sponge filter in here pushing water all towards this side, but yet there's areas down here where they can get out of the current. And plenty of plants up top here. Like I said, this is my version of a river tank, and I absolutely love it. And right here is, well, they like to breed over rocks. And I have a rock in the sand that's flat, and just a few rocks on there now. But what I want to try to do is breed them in this tank. And by having those rocks there right now, I can actually put a little container on that flat rock with those rocks on top and have them breed into that. So to kind of train them like that's where they're going to breed. My only concern is I have a lot of little tiny pebbles up here that they may decide that that's where they want to breed instead. But we'll see. But like I said, this is one of my favorite tanks right now down here. I love these rainbow shiners, and I've been wanting a big river tank for the longest time. And this is what my version of it is for now until I can get a bigger tank for these guys. Let's pop over here. This is my other 29-gallon tank. Now this is my high fin blue coral variatus. Again, this used to be a dirted tank and it no longer is. It's a mix between sand and gravel. Again, I mixed it up a little bit. I really wanted to have a different little look. I wanted to be able to see things differently. You just have to refresh your canvas sometimes to really get interested in what you're doing again, and that's what this was. I put these logs over on this side. They used to be on that side. I can show you a little look of what this tank used to look like to what it looks like now. And I think it's cool. I really like it. I really love these fish too and the colors, and they have been breeding. I've been finding when I did move all these fish out, I found about 4 or 5 younger ones, and I found actually little tiny baby ones too, which I don't know if they've ever survived and made it to the transfer. But these are my high fin blue coral variatis, and I'm really loving this tank as well. It's really growing on me. Let's pop down to my white cloud tanks now. Now this is my first one. This is my normal white cloud minnow tank. Now I'll let you see what this tank used to look like to what it looks like now. And obviously it's gravel substrate now, and it's a little bare. I don't know if I'm going to keep it like this yet. I may want to get more driftwood to add to it. But my idea was with these egg scatterers, with these white clouds, with having gravel, is perhaps if they breed in the mornings, they drop their eggs into the gravel, maybe there's a greater chance for them to survive compared to on the sand where they could get picked off by the snails or maybe eaten by the parents. Just an idea. I don't know if it's going to make any difference, but that was my thought process on it. Now, this tank over here is my gold white cloud minnows. There's only 6 of them in here. Again, this is a sand and gravel mix, and you can see the water's a little cloudy, but what I really did was I reset all these tanks. They're almost going through kind of mini cycles again. Yes, I've got seeded filter in here, and the plants are all in the aquarium to begin with, or other aquariums, but the substrate's all new. So it's going to take a little bit for some of these tanks to completely clear up, and you'll see that coming with a few other tanks. But the plans for this tank really are, if you see, I made caves. I made caves because I plan on putting another species of fish in here in the future after this tank kind of clears up and matures a little bit. I'm not going to tell you what those are yet, but my buddy Chris over at Stubbs Aquatics has been keeping them for a little while, and he drew interest into me onto these fish, so they will be going in here at some point down the road. And then this is one of my 2 dirted aquariums. This is my Oscar cichlid tank, which is a dirted aquarium, like I mentioned, and very planted, which is something that many people have told me is not possible to do, which kind of intrigued me to want to do it. Like I said, I've been very happy and very lucky so far. This is a no filter aquarium as well. I have a wave maker in here for some airflow and oxygenation. So what I did, if you can watch many videos of mine, I put egg crate in the substrate to make sure that he couldn't dig and reach the dirt layer. And I got this guy as a little baby in here so he'd be used to the plants. And so far he absolutely loves them. He has got his own little corner notched out in the back there where he hangs out. And other than that, these plants have been going in fabulous, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how far this goes if he continues to grow in here and doesn't rip these plants out, because it's really been cool, and I'm happy about it. And I may add a filter into this aquarium soon. I think filtration, even if it is just a sponge filter, could help a little bit in here. It is crystal clear and I haven't had issues, but there's nothing wrong with a little bit of filtration. So this is my Oscar dirty tank. In my top rack here, I have my Ram cichlids pair. I have my green water fry grow out tank, and then my little, what I call nature tank, which is my little culture tank of organisms that I got from a local waterway, including, but not limited to, freshwater isopods, seed shrimp, and many more. I plan on using this to seed my Oscar tank and create a food web in there to help break down waste and really create that food web that I think is a very cool and interesting and beneficial thing to be able to add to an aquarium, but more on that in the future. But this is my ram cichlids. This is a pair that I have. They are a mix between gold and electric blue ram cichlids. They've been breeding every like 10 days, but they keep eating their babies. The one time I was successful is this tank leaked. I put them in here. They laid eggs on a rock. And there are 2 fry in here left that I've been able to see. Where they are right now, nobody knows because it is full of green water, little microorganisms, algae, so many things for them to feed off of. And that's what I love about these green water tanks. It's an endless supply of food. And those 2 guys will hopefully grow up in here and get a little bigger. And then hopefully mom and dad here will stop eating their babies and we can get a lot more of them. This is my 55-gallon axolotl tank. Now, nothing's really changed in this tank since you've seen it last if you watch my channel, except I did put a black background on. Mostly because filming sucks with seeing through the back of the tank with everything else and lights, but it also makes it a little darker in this tank for this guy, and he enjoys that. Nothing, like I said, has really changed in here. I do plan on maybe adding a lot more plants in here yet, but I do want to keep it somewhat open for him to move around because he does like to move around quite a bit in this tank. It's an adult 2-year-old male. I don't know what color variation that is. I'm not really that familiar with axolotls when it comes to that. My daughter's big time into them, and that's what she wanted, so I got her one. It is, like I said, a very cool, interesting animal to see and interact with. Definitely he'll come up to the glass and start looking at me whenever he's hungry, so very cool experience. Now this is my other dirted tank that I still have up in my fish room. This is my oldest dirted tank. It's a 20 long and it contains my rare matano rice fish. And I actually have a few fry in here. I found 2 of them pop up over the last few weeks. See if I can get him on camera. There he is. Here's one of them. There's 2 in here. There may be more. The thing of it is, this tank gets a lot of algae along that light bar range down there, as you can see. And I really don't want to pull it out yet because these fish breed just about every day. I see eggs on them quite a bit. And I've seen them before in that algae. So I'm afraid if I pull that algae out, I may pull some eggs out. So I'm going to hold off a little bit. But like I said, there are 2 fry in here currently. These fish are really cool with their blue eyes. I will make a standalone video on this tank with those fish and hopefully the breeding of these guys. But I'm really loving this tank. Like I said, it's over 5 years old. It's my first dirted tank I ever did. And I'm going to continue to love dirted tanks because I just want to have a mix of different types of aquariums within my fish room to kind of intrigue my different passions within this hobby. Now this is another 20-gallon tank that used to be dirted. It no longer is. Now it is just sand. As you can notice, I've mixed my substrates up a little bit with some of these aquariums that I changed over. And in that video last week, I kind of explained that my idea was I can do really comparisons. I can see how plants are growing in sand compared to gravel, compared to sand gravel mixes, compared to dirted tanks. And really see some comparisons with, like I said, plant growth, with fertilization, with all different types of subjects. It's another big reason why I wanted to do this because I just think a lot of different things. But in this one, like I said, the water's a little cloudy as well. It's going through a little bit of a mini cycle. Same substrate cap that was in that dirted tank, same plants. I took a few out, but these are my King Yama orange red madaka race fish. These things are absolutely beautiful. I have not seen eggs on any of them yet. I don't know if it's more because they're in aquariums. I do want to put some of these outside in a summer tub this summer. Not all of them. I don't want to, just in case something happens, I'll take like half of them and put them outside and see if I can start to get them to breed. That's the plan with these guys anyway. But I absolutely love the look of these fish. They're absolutely beautiful. And like Got a sponge filter in here, as you can see as well. I did include filters in all my aquariums except for my dirted ones. My 20 long here, my oldest one, just has an air stone in it. And then, like I said, my Oscar tank has got that wave maker, but I do plan on putting a filter in there in the near future. This is another 20-gallon tank, but this is a gravel substrate, and this contains my CPDs. Now this one, it's a little not as great of a story. It was full of crypts in the back. If you've seen the video a while back when it was a dirted tank, I made it an all crypt tank. Well, all those crypts are still in here, except they all melted. Every single one of them melted on me, unfortunately. It doesn't mean they're dead if you're not familiar with crypts. The plants, when you move them, sometimes they like to melt back. As long as their root systems are okay, they typically will grow back for me. We shall see. These are melted pretty good. So I'll have to check in the next month or so and see if we get some growth from them. Otherwise, I will be planting new ones. Those CPDs are very skittish, but with not a lot of plants in here, they seem to be coming out a little bit more. They like to hide in this back corner and around the Conibius. But with this gravel substrate, like I said, with those white clouds, my hope is if they start breeding in here, maybe they'll fall down into the cracks of the gravel, and maybe a few of them will make it for now. But I do want to try to breed these guys in the near future. There's a few things that I've seen online I'd like to try, with little cups with some Java moss, and maybe try to get them to breed into the Java moss, into that cup to take them out. But we'll see. That's a future breeding project down the line. Now, the last tank I want to show you here is this Hexagon tank. This one as well has a little bit of cloudy water going through a mini cycle. This is the one where I've got a bunch of crypts and swords in here, and it's got my platinum blue madaka rice fish that I got from Scott over at Raisin Fishes. These guys are doing great. There's probably like 20 or 30 of them in here, and I'm going to put some of these outside in a summer tub this summer as well. I did put black backgrounds on all my tanks, if you guys haven't noticed. Some of them didn't have black backgrounds, and it was kind of annoying always seeing the wires and everything in between. Now this one's got a bunch of algae growth sort of in the back, and I'm okay with that. A lot of these tanks do have some algae started, and I'm not worrying too much about it. I'm keeping a lot of that stuff in there because I feel like, especially since these are kind of like mini cycling, a lot of them have new substrate. I think it's important to keep as much of that stuff in here for right now until the tanks kind of mature more. And then I think the tanks will kind of take care of themselves with it. So, well, I hope you enjoyed that tour of my fish room. Like I said, sometimes you just have to hit that reset button within an aquarium. Sometimes your passion and interest just change from what you had set up. And that's the beauty of it. Like I mentioned earlier, aquarium to me is an empty canvas. Sometimes you can wipe that slate clean and start over. And that's what I did. I want to be able to breed more fish. I want to be able to change things up. I want to have the opportunity to keep different type of fish that may dig in the substrate down the road. And for me, that means I wanted to have all different types of tanks. That means dirted tanks, sand tanks, gravel and sand, and be able to see really what works best for me and have opportunities to do all the things that I'm passionate and interested about. So, like I said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider hitting that subscribe button. And as always, remember to think outside the box and take a step back into nature. I hope to see you next time here at Patty's Aquatics.